Hey, sixth grade Bobcats, Mr. Flato here. Welcome back to what I hope will be a fantastic week for you here at Helena Middle School. This week we're going to continue talking about friendships, but we're going to kind of go a little bit different direction. Coming into sixth grade middle school, it's a new friendship experience for everyone. Chances are you had a very core group of friends coming from one of your elementary schools, and now you're here mixed in with kids from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other elementary schools, and your friendship circle is growing. I'm going to talk today about friendship circles. That is who you are friends with. And I'm going to talk today about the different varying levels of friendship circles and how it's totally normal and okay to be very, very close with some people, somewhat close with some other people, and somewhat distant friends with some other people, and how that is a normal thing and what the different levels of friendship look like. So I hope you guys like this Bob lesson. I'm going to get rocking and rolling. Hope you guys go out there and make it a great week at the Helena Middle School. Before I get going on this Bob lesson, I want to go over a couple different parts of the dartboard for those of you that aren't familiar with darts or a dartboard. If you follow my cursor here, we have 3 different spots I'm going to be talking about today in terms of levels of friendship. We have the inner circle, which is here represented by the bullseye. We have the intermediate circle, which is represented here as you follow my cursor along and right in the middle. And then we have the outer circle, which is represented on the outside of the dartboard. All right, so now that we're all on the same page with the visual on the 3 different friendship circles, I'm first going to talk about the characteristics of the inner circle. Now, to review, the inner circle is the bullseye. And you'll notice something about the bullseye. Compared to the other circles, the bullseye is hands down the smallest. And it's like that for a reason. You can't have a whole lot of people in your inner circle. It's just not quite possible from a time and energy and effort perspective. You've heard me say my favorite quote before: would you rather have 100 pennies or 4 quarters? And the reason I say that is because I think when it comes to friendship, I think we're better off having 4 very great friends rather than 100 so-so friends. You'll notice you can't fit 100 pennies inside that little inner circle. But metaphorically, you can fit 4 quarters inside that inner circle. So, characteristics of the inner circle. Inner circle are people who you consider great or your best friends. Newsflash, folks, especially to some of our female students, because I see this more with female students than male students, you can have more than one best friend. I know best is a lot of times translated into singular, but you can have multiple best friends. I know if you ask me about my friendships, I probably have a half a dozen people that I consider like my best friends. Friendship isn't a prioritizing type thing. You can have multiple best friends. People who you confide in and share your innermost thoughts and feelings with. These are people in your inner circle. People who you have high levels of trust with. When I think about my inner circle, I think about if I was to leave my dog with somebody for the weekend, who would I 100% trust with the highest degree of certainty that they would keep her alive and keep her out of harm's way, make sure she has water, make sure she has food. Some of you that know me and have met my dog, maybe walking to school outside my parents' house, know how much I love my dog and know how important she is to me. So these are people in my inner circle. People who you put the most time and effort into. Even though the inner circle is the smallest, it requires the most energy, the most effort to keep those inner circle friendships alive and possible. And finally, people whose friendships you value the most. These are people that you just naturally connect with, that you trust with, that you confide in, that you consider to be your best friends. All right, we talked about the inner circle. Now let's talk about the intermediate circle. Just to review real quick. The intermediate circle, if you're looking on your dartboard on the left, is the blue and green alternating circle that is the smaller of the 2 circles. It's not the bullseye, it's not the outer one, but is the intermediate one. Now you're going to notice a couple things about it. You're going to notice that it is many times larger than the bullseye. And that is because you're going to have more friends in your intermediate circle than maybe you do in your inner circle. And you're also going to notice that it is not as big as your outer circle. And that's because you're going to have more select people in your intermediate circle than you do your outer circle. So let's talk about characteristics of the intermediate circle. These are people who you consider to be good friends. Maybe not great friends, maybe not your best friends, but people you consider to be good friends. These are people that maybe you don't keep in contact with every week or every day, but maybe you keep in contact with every month, maybe through text, maybe through phone call, maybe through social media. These are people who you kind of pick and choose what you want to confide and share your inner thoughts and feelings with. Maybe they don't know your whole life story, everything's going on in your life, but they know most of it. These are people who you have a moderate level of trust with. You may not trust them with the most important things in life, but you can trust them with most things. And obviously, these are people whose friendship you value. All right, so finally, let's talk about characteristics of the outer circle. Just to review, the outer circle is the bigger part of the red and green that goes around the outer perimeter, and the inside part of it is the intermediate red and green. So you'll notice that the outer circle is the biggest part, and that's because this is where most of your friendships will be, especially as you get older. These are people who you consider friends, not good friends, not great friends, but just people that you consider friends, people you're cool with, people that you get along with, people that you like to be around. These are people who you don't necessarily confide and share your inner thoughts and feelings with, that they don't get to know. They don't have the privilege of getting to know everything about you. These are people who you like, but don't maybe put the highest amounts of time or effort into. And this is where most of your friendships will be. Today is actually my birthday. Shout out to the other February 28th birthdays. Caitlin Hamill and Avery Skabisky. Happy birthday, you two. And so I'm a little bit older. I've made more friends. I've come in contact with more people. And there's definitely, I have a lot of friends out there, people that I consider to be friends, but they're not intermediate circle friends, or they're not inner circle friends by any means. So as you get older, a lot of people will end up settling into this area. And when we go to this next slide, I'm going to explain why. So I'd like next to talk about friendship dartboard movement. Okay, we defined the characteristics of the three levels of friendship. Your inner circle, these are the people you trust the most, you have the tightest relationships with. Your intermediate circle, these are somewhere in between your inner circle and your outer circle. There's only so much space in each circle of your friendship dartboard, and again, when we talk about your inner circle, it's small and it's not very big, and I think it grows bigger as you get older, as you get to meet more people and you get to identify more people that you have the most in common with, that over time prove their worth to be in the inner circle. You only have so much time and energy to give in friendships. You can't have 15, 20, 25 best friends. It's physically impossible to put the energy and the time into making those friendships what they are. Again, good friendship needs time and energy and effort to put into those, and as human beings, we only have so much time every day to work on our friendships. The thing I want to talk about, and I talk about this with a lot of students in my office, is that movement from one circle to the next is fluid and it's constant, and you're constantly moving. I think if you were to ask me 20-some years ago, when I was a student at HMS who was in my inner circle, I would say none of those people are in my inner circle today. Some are in my intermediate circle, some are in my outer circle, some aren't even in here, period. If you even look at my life in the last 10 years, I don't know how many people that were in my intermediate circle, or excuse me, that were in my inner circle 10 years ago are still in my inner circle today. That is constantly changing and moving all the time, and I talk to students all the time about that, and that's something that's hard. That's something that's hard to deal with, and I think one of my objectives in doing this lesson is to let you guys know that friends come and go and friends change, and the importance of friendship and the circles of friendship are constantly changing and moving, and that's a normal, healthy part of growing up. So I'm encouraging you guys to spend some time reflecting on who you have in your inner circle, who you have in your intermediate circle, who you have in your outer circle, and why do you consider them to be in that part, and whether they belong to be in that part. Maybe they need to be bumped up a circle. Maybe they need to be bumped out a circle. I don't know what that answer is. That's for each and every one of you to spend some time processing and figuring out. So let's talk about the other side of that. You guys have seen this list. If you want to move up the ranks of somebody's friendship, Hey, these answers came from you wonderful students at the Helena Middle School. This came from you guys. This is what was important for you guys. If you want to become better friends with somebody, spend more time doing these 20 things. Conversely, if you're not spending a whole lot of time doing these 20 things, think about whether or not you should be. Okay, because we have the answer key right here. This is the 20 most important things from what I heard from you guys, the 20 most characteristics of being a friend from an 11 to 14-year-old at Helena Middle School. The last part of this week's lesson is, this is probably one of my favorite pictures, and I know I say this every week, but what can I say? I'm passionate about this stuff. I'm passionate about being one of your school counselors. I'm passionate about being at the Helena Middle School here and getting to see you all every day. This right here is a group of, looks 6, 7, 8, 9 lions. And this quote is so true. It says, surround yourself with those on the same mission as you. I think it's so true. Being a middle school student, and for some of you that are moving into high school here in the next year or two, your peer groups and who is in your inner circle, who is in your intermediate circle, who's in your outer circle becomes more and more important. From that age group to 12, 13 through 17, 18 years old, your peer group is going to have so much importance on you and so much power on you and the decisions you make and what you do and how you spend your time and what's important to you. I encourage you to spend time with people that lift you up. Spend time with people that help you get to where you're going. Spend time with people that have the same interests as you and have the same goals as you and have the same passions as you and want the same things out of life, because your friends will affect you more than anything else these next couple of years. And that's why I love this picture, because it says surround yourself with those people that are on the same mission as you, that want the same things in life as you. And it's so true, and it is so important, because if one lion can lead the group astray, and there's so much strength in the pack and so much strength in your friendships, and friendships are so important. We've been talking about it the last 5 weeks now. So I hope you guys let this picture soak in, and I hope you think about whether those people in your inner circle are on the same mission as you, those people in your intermediate circle are on the same mission as you, and maybe that's a reason why people are in an inner circle or aren't in an inner circle. You know, maybe somebody isn't in your inner circle because they're not on the same mission as you, but you still want to be friends with them, and that's okay too. I have many conversations with students about that, still being friends with somebody that isn't about the same things or making the same decisions that you are making. That doesn't mean you can't be friends with them. Maybe it just means that they're not in your inner circle. All right, my quote of the week: good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know they're there, and these are your inner circle type people. All right, this week's JellyBean question of the week winners are Jared Renner, Lizzie Johnson, Dalton Hudoba, Justin Pettit, Connor Bocher, and Hayden Mason. Come see me for some jelly beans. This week's JellyBean question of the week is, what body part is pronounced as one letter but written with 3 letters and only 2 different letters are used? If you think you know, submit your answer into the Bob box no later than Friday. All right, 6th grade Bobcats, let's go out and make it a great week.